If you or someone you love served during wartime and now needs help with everyday things like bathing, dressing, preparing meals, or simply getting through the day safely, there may be a tax-free benefit from the Department of Veterans Affairs that many families never realize exists. And here's something important. This isn't a loan. It does not have to be paid back. And for some qualifying veterans and surviving spouses, it can provide thousands of dollars each year to help cover the cost of care. But here's the problem. Many families spend years paying out of pocket for home care, assisted living, or memory care without ever knowing this benefit exists. And even families who have heard about it often assume they don't qualify. Maybe they think they make too much money. Maybe they think their loved one never saw combat. Maybe they think it's too late. But those assumptions are exactly why I wanted to make this video. Because today, we're going to walk through what the VA aid and attendance benefit is, who may qualify, how much help it can provide, common mistakes families make, and where to find legitimate help. And just so we're clear, this video is for educational purposes only. Rules and benefit amounts can change over time, so always verify information with the VA or a VA-accredited representative. Now let's start with what this benefit actually is. The aid and attendance benefit is an additional monthly payment added to a VA pension for certain veterans and surviving spouses who need help with daily living. And no, this money is not restricted to one specific use. Families often use it to help pay for home care, assisted living, adult day care, memory care, nursing homes, and other long-term care expenses. Think of it this way. Imagine a 78-year-old veteran whose wife now helps him remember medications, prepares meals, and assists him throughout the day. Or maybe an elderly widow whose husband served years ago and who now needs help because of declining health. Those are exactly the kinds of situations this benefit was designed for. And one of the biggest surprises for many families is this. The veteran didn't necessarily have to fight in combat. That misunderstanding alone causes many people to stop looking before they ever discover they may qualify. So let's talk about who may actually qualify. I like to think of eligibility as 3 gates. And a person generally needs to pass all 3. The first gate is military service. Generally speaking, veterans need at least 90 days of active duty service, with at least 1 day occurring during a recognized wartime period. And if active duty began after September 7, 1980, there are additional service requirements. Now here's the part many people misunderstand. The VA does not require combat service. You didn't necessarily have to serve in a war zone. Having active service during a wartime period may be enough. For example, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, or the Gulf War period. Another requirement is discharge status. Generally, discharge must be other than dishonorable. And veterans under age 65 may still qualify in certain situations involving disability or long-term care. So military service is the first gate. But passing that gate alone doesn't automatically mean someone qualifies. There is a second gate. And this is the one many families are already dealing with every single day. The second gate involves health and daily care. The VA looks at whether someone needs help with activities of daily living. Things like bathing, getting dressed, eating, managing medications, moving safely, or simply needing supervision because of memory problems. And this is important. People often think assistance means someone must be completely bedridden. That's not true. Conditions like dementia, Alzheimer's disease, or other cognitive impairments may also create the type of care needs that support eligibility. For example, maybe your father keeps forgetting medications. Maybe your spouse cannot safely live alone anymore. Maybe your mother needs reminders throughout the day. Those situations matter. And if a person lives in a nursing home because of physical or mental limitations, that may also support eligibility. But then comes the gate that scares most people: money. And this is where many families give up before they should. Many people immediately assume, we probably make too much. We own a house. We have savings. We won't qualify. And sometimes that's true. But many times, families stop too early. Because the VA doesn't simply look at income by itself. Medical expenses matter too. And that's something many people don't realize. Expenses for care, home health aides, assisted living, and other unreimbursed medical costs can affect how countable income is calculated, which means some families who initially believe they're over the limit may discover they actually qualify. Here's a simple example. Say a married veteran has $121,000 in assets and $14,000 in yearly income. That gives a net worth of $135,000. The current limit is $163,699. That family would meet the financial requirement. Another thing many people worry about is their house. Generally speaking, a primary residence and one vehicle are not counted the same way other assets are. But remember, every situation is different. That's why it's important not to disqualify yourself before talking to the VA or an accredited representative, because the answer may not be what you think. Now let's talk about something everybody wants to know. How much money are we actually talking about? For qualifying veterans, the amount varies depending on family circumstances and income. For example, a qualifying veteran with no dependents may receive benefits based on a maximum annual pension rate of over $29,000. A married veteran who qualifies may have a maximum annual rate exceeding $34,000. And surviving spouses have their own benefit amounts. Remember, these are maximum rates. Actual payments depend on income and medical expenses. But here's something important. These payments are tax-free, and they don't need to be repaid. Imagine having help available for home care or assisted living expenses, and never knowing it existed. That's why understanding this benefit matters. But knowing about it isn't enough. Because there are mistakes that delay or complicate claims all the time. One common mistake is weak medical documentation. Simply saying someone needs help isn't always enough. Doctors need to clearly explain care needs. Another mistake is incomplete forms. Missing information or signatures can slow things down significantly. And perhaps the biggest mistake of all is assuming you don't qualify financially and never applying. Many families eliminate themselves before ever speaking with someone qualified to help. Another important thing to know is that recent asset transfers can matter. The VA reviews certain asset transfers made within 3 years before filing. And because those rules can be complicated, families who have transferred significant assets recently should speak with a VA-accredited representative before applying. And finally, if a claim is denied, that doesn't always mean the person is ineligible. Sometimes additional evidence or corrections are needed. A denial isn't necessarily the end of the road. If anything you've heard today sounds familiar, don't panic, and don't assume you don't qualify. Start by gathering military records, medical information, and financial documents. Then visit va.gov or contact a VA-accredited representative. Organizations like the American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars provide free assistance. And free help matters, because nobody should be paying unnecessary fees just to learn what benefits may already be available to them. Most importantly, don't let assumptions stop you from asking questions, because many families spend years struggling financially, not because help doesn't exist, but because nobody ever told them where to look. And if this video helped you, consider sharing it with another veteran, surviving spouse, or family member. It might help someone discover benefits they've earned, but never knew were available. This video is for educational purposes only and is not legal, financial, or professional benefits advice. Rules and benefit amounts can change over time. For help with your specific situation, consult the VA or a VA-accredited representative.